Did you know the sun is actually green? No, I'm kidding, but in reality, it's all colors you can imagine at the same time. Wait, what? I know it sounds like a joke, but in being serious, can't you tell the sun has all the waves of light spectrum simultaneously red, blue, green, yellow, you name it? Where do you think rainbows come from? When sunlight gets reflected of water droplets in the air, it turns into a bunch of colored waves, and if you put them together, they make a white ray of light. Our eyes are unable to perceive the consent of all colors at the same time, so their combination seems white. To us, wait, you might say, why white isn't the sun yellow? Yep, it's yellow too, but please don't stare at the sun just to make sure it ain't bars white when we see it from space. This is the sun's real color as our eyes pressed it. The sun gets a yellow issue when it shines a pattern in Earth's atmosphere. Our atmosphere does not let blue waves pass very well, but the red ones, hey, anytime be the way. That's why the sky seems blue to us. The atmosphere scatters the blue color all over the place during sunrise and sunset. Blue rays get reflected, but the long red ones reach us perfectly. That's why we see sunsets as pink, orange, or red. But what would happen if the sun had a different color? To answer that question, let's quickly repeat what we have learned. When the sun has the whole color spectrum in it too, our atmosphere is like blue rice, no bird rays anytime. So you probably already guessed what would happen if the sun was, let's say, red. Our world would look like a duck during sunsets. Not bad how we would not have to even wait for the evening to admire the starlit sky, orange water, and a bright red moon. Yeah, it would be darker than we are used to, but still not bad. Oh, by the way, one thing, the sun will actually turn red when its life comes to an end. It will expand and gracefully turn into a red giant before finally burning out. But it's not gonna be so much fun to us, so let's hope we won't be around to see that moment. I know I want. Hey, Eve, got a party to go to. Okay, now, what if the sun was green? Well, the truth is the sun is green, so here is your dialogue. Wait, are you kidding me? Didn't you just say that it's white? Oh, good job on that bottom lay, but the sun just looks white. It is around a temp of 10,000 degrees F, and the pink grand light responds to the sun's molecule. But to make sure that the sun is green, we need to draw out the rest of the visible spectrums. Then our atmosphere will let go of for green color. What will happen then? Well, everything will be green, and everything will also be a bit darker. Well, face it, it's not easy being green. Okay, moving on now, let's paint the sun blue. Blue stars do actually exist, called blue giants. Fortunately, our sun is not one of them. Why? Fortunately, well, because if it was a blue giant, it would be a young, beautiful, unimaginably large, very, very hot star. See, our red is hot, blue is cold. Does not apply to stars. The oldest stars are white and blue, and the coldest are yellow and red. Yeah, our sun is actually very cold compared to other stars. Now take the average temp in your city, but multiply it by hundreds of thousands. Yeah, we are struggling in global warming here, but global burning, men, no thanks. Blue giants. Anyway, let's imagine the sun turned blue. How would we see our world? Surprisingly, nothing would change. Remember how I saw you? The atmosphere scatters blue light. That's why in this case, everything would remain almost the same. Maybe the sky would get bluer, but we would not see much difference. And finally, the darkest, this unintended option. What if our sun turned black, stuck up on land and candles? Cause there is no more light. People use electricity all over the world 24/7. We also can't see the moon anymore. After all, we can observe it these days only because the sun's rays get reflected off of it. Now, the only thing we still have to illuminate our night are stars, but they don't help us much. Good thing this scenario is totally unrealistic, and there are no black stars, right? Well, yeah, there are no black stars, but still our sun will eventually become black one day. And I don't mean a black hole, I'm talking about black dwarfs here. You've probably heard of white dwarfs, maybe even seven globes. When a star like our sun is about to finish its life cycle and it expands into a red giant, and then gradually losing its upper layers, it turns into a white dwarf. Since they no longer produce fuel, they slowly cool down, all the remains of a small core living out its life and burning bright. And when the star cools Down completely right, it turns into a black dwarf. But the problem, OS, we have never heard of them. Why? Because surprise, surprise, they don't exist. And no, I was not laying. The thing is, a star needs about 1 quadrillion years to turn not a black dwarf, and the universe is still a little baby. It's only about 14 billion years old, so no star has reached this moment. Even the most on end of them still remain a little light. That's why black stars are just a theory, and it's unlikely we will ever see such a star at all. But remember the famous saying, the stars we see at night are already ghosts because their light has reached us only now. Well, that's a myth. They're all still alive. Why am I telling you all this? But let's imagine that our sun turned into a black dwarf. Our entire solar system would immediately plunge into darkness. It would also be terribly cold. The moon would leave its orbit and crash into Earth. Wait, no, let's fill up this moment and assume we are still alive. Fortunately, we would not freeze instantly as you might think. Earth's core has around 9,000 degrees F, but the temp on the surface of the planet would still immediately drop to 31 degrees F. The core would gracefully cool down every 2 months. Its temp would drop about 2 times in just 2 months. Earth's surface temp would be minus 190 degrees F, and in a year it would reach minus 450 degrees F. Most plants would disappear pretty quickly, not because of the cold, because of lack of sunlight. Others would live a life longer thanks to the oxygen still remaining in Earth's atmosphere, and probably enough trees would survive for a very long time. They have a slow metabolism. Sugar from the ground. The upper layers of the ocean would freeze very quickly. Certainly, this thick crust of ice would insulate deep waters, so the entire ocean would not freeze for some time. Marine creatures would be doing pretty well. They existed long before us and already used to crazy temperatures. The lack of oxygen and food, huge pressures, and other joes of the deep oceans. And what about us humans? Well, first of all, we would start getting sick. Without vitamin D, people would face a number of different health problems. Also, our bodies need sunlight to produce melatonin. This helps us understand when we should go asleep and wake up. If we didn't have this, our bodies would get very confused and would not understand if they needed to sleep or not. That would be insane for many people, but we would still be able to survive. We have 2 options: to build giant submarines and go down into the deep depths closer to Earth's core, or Stanley surface. Lies our lives in some locations where we would have sources of geothermal energy. In Iceland, for an example, we can also set near volcanoes. Their heat would be enough to warm us for a long time. We would adapt to this life. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a like and subscribe to our channel. Bye bye.